start this month's episode, the faltering Coleco Chameleon project took another kick to the nads with the news that Coleco is distancing itself from the project. Otherwise known as the Retro VGS, the system's aim was to bring people a retro-focused console experience. The latest announcement follows on from the news that the console was allegedly using a Super Nintendo circuit board when it was being showcased at the New York Toy Fair, with Retro Video Game Systems later admitting that it wasn't really ready to be demonstrated yet. Coleco subsequently released a statement which said that this meant it could no longer proceed with the project and the Chameleon project will be terminated. If that wasn't enough, the Retro VGS Facebook page and website seem to be down now too. What a sorry state of affairs. Next, and in less depressing news, a ROM for the Super Nintendo CD system has been released, and it seems to be legitimate. The add-on for the 16-bit system, which was to be a collaboration between Nintendo and Sony, was cancelled before it was launched back in the early 90s. Once booted, the ROM loads an image identical to the one shown when the original prototype was created. Yes, this could be fake, but I prefer to believe. A homebrew title called Magic Floor has even been released for the format, although due to complications with the emulator that's required, it's not actually playable, which is a bit of a problem. Then to round off this segment, a box of the incredibly rare Stadium events for the NES has seemingly been found. All we have is this picture though, and apparently the owner doesn't want to open it, leaving us to only speculate on what may or may not be inside.
What's in the box?
As usual, we'll start this section with Nintendo's systems. But what is unusual is that the 3DS's eShop outdid the Wii U's in terms of retro offerings. This was purely because SNES titles were being brought to the handheld, with the first batch of titles including The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, Earthbound, Super Metroid, F-Zero, Super Mario Kart and Donkey Kong Country 1 and 2. If you live in Japan, you can even get this nifty looking Super Famicom styled 3DS. The Wii U's eShop on the other hand received ports of City Connection for the NES, as well as the N64's Star Fox 64 and Yoshi's Story. On the PlayStation Network it was quiet in comparison, but not desolate. Most noticeable was the release of Day of the Tentacle remastered for the PlayStation 4 and PS Vita, with the game also available on Windows, Mac and Linux. PS4 owners also got Arcade Archives, Bubble Bobble, as well as 2 PlayStation 2 games, Manhunt and Bully. Moving away from Sony and Nintendo, there were a few releases on the Apple TV, namely Sonic the Hedgehog 1 and 2, Sonic CD and DuckTales Remastered. The latter is on Android TV as well. Next there was a new and improved version of LucasArts' adventure Flight of the Amazon Queen for iOS. The game's original creator has just announced they want to make a sequel for it as well. Then we have 2 games released on Android devices, the first being Rayman and the second being a remaster of PS2 game Fahrenheit: Indigo Prophecy. And to round off this segment, Capcom have ported Steel Battalion to the Pokemon Mini. Not the busiest month for this section, but Retro Protect has lived up to its name and released sets of special sleeves for your gaming manuals, for systems including the SNES, N64, GameCube and PS2. A pack of 25 will set you back £4.99. Second, some hacks have been created that can remove anti-aliasing from N64 games, and if that sounds of interest, more details can be found by following the link in this video's description. Quite a bit of homebrew this month, so let's start with the ones that won't cost you a penny to download. They include Spaceman Splorf, Planet of Doom for the Commodore 64, GB Mines for the Game Boy, Virtua Worm for the Mega Drive, and Wing Warriors for the MSX. Then there were 2 physical cartridge releases, the first being Germ Squashers for the NES. A copy will set you back $100 but proceeds do benefit the Children's Miracle Network. The second is Chief Chef for the Odyssey 2, with a copy costing $31 including shipping. And to finish this section, an APK of a HD remake of Shooter Salamander was released online. It was an official game being created for Android devices by Konami's Shanghai office, but it sadly ended up being cancelled. A developer working on the title finished it though and made it available to download for free, which is nice. It was largely just NES games that received translations this month, and they included Double Dragon 3 The Rosetta Stone, Amagon, Rainbow Silkroad, Per-Man Return the Space Saucer, and The Trolls in Crazy Land. The one exception? A translation of Super Conard for the Game Boy. That's all your retro news for this month, but please do let me know if I missed anything or if I mispronounced something. Please consider liking this video too, by the way, I really do appreciate it. Also, a non-news video should be out later on this month, so be sure to look out for that.
Just as I expected from the woman I rely on.